It's Monday, July 25th, 2016. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight, the right to repair and the DMCA and all that nonsense in 2016 is still a problem.
Let's do this.
It was raining so hard that when I got off the I was on the subway on the 7 train after like ridiculous delays and like people crammed in everywhere. I basically only got on the car because I sort of shoved people out of the way and elbowed my way on there and wedged myself in a corner. But then when the train came out of the tunnel into the daylight, into the wall of rain, the rain hit the subway car so hard that people in the car kind of went like, ah, and everyone sort of reacted in a surprising and shocked fashion, which I've never seen people do on the subway before.
Subway's nice and clean.
Yeah,
Whoosh.
Nice and air conditioned
Free
too.
car wash. Whoosh.
Yeah, I'm actually impressed at how well all the air conditioning in that system is working, considering.
We're riding relatively new train cars.
Even though you saw they're going to get all new train cars soon with the bumbleweeds.
I thought they were just modifying existing cars to put little thingies in between.
It's hard to say, because the story, it looks like I think they're going to take the oldest rolling stock and replace it with the ones that'll have the sort of articulated open framework and less seats.
Well, yeah, I mean, you always assume the newest cars replace the oldest cars, right?
Yeah, except apparently I guess the C train will never get anything replaced.
Why not?
The C train has the oldest, worst rolling stock in the entire system.
Then isn't that first in line to get replaced?
I don't know. The C train's weird too. They're shorter than the other trains.
Okay.
You know, you don't know about the C. Have you ever ridden the C on purpose?
I've ridden the other blue. I don't
Yeah,
know if
you've
I've
ridden
ridden
the
this.
A.
I don't know if I've ridden blue trains, but I've never ridden a blue train where it mattered which one I took, unless it was the E.
Yeah, the E is the useful one. The A is the one, unless you're going to Brooklyn.
Like, if I'm taking a blue train, it's either I need the E or I need any blue train.
Yep. I don't think
And I don't know which one I'm on.
I'll bet you haven't ridden an E train, because the E train kind of sucks. Like,
I've ridden a lot of E trains to go to the
the
airport.
the C. The C you've probably never ridden.
I mean, I've just, if I have, I didn't,
The C is notably shitty.
Okay.
But anyway, so I was on the beach this weekend, and something strange happened. I was at Russo's, that place, like we always do. Standing there with Emily. We're waiting for our Russo's sandwiches to get finished by the ladies behind the counter. And suddenly, what looks like an employee of Russo's, wearing a Santa hat, walks
Why are you
up to
wearing
us.
a Santa hat in July?
Walks up to us, holding a bunch of things that they call sand scrapers that are like this as seen on TV thing to get sand off your feet, and 3
That's stupid.
big blocks of Boar's Head cheese, like wrapped up packaged Boar's Head cheese. And they're like, Merry Christmas, and they hand it to us.
They handed you free cheese?
Like 3 huge blocks of cheese and these sand
Is the cheese
scrapers.
expired?
It expires next year, like it's fine.
Why didn't they give it? Did they give this to everybody?
So we're looking at her, and Emily's like, oh, no thanks. Because like you do, when someone
It's
walks
New
up to you,
York.
and gives you cheese, that is either a scam or they stole that cheese.
That's right. We don't want that. What is going on? Yeah.
And they're like, it's Christmas in July. It's free. You can take it. And then I noticed that there's other Russo's people walking around giving everyone in the store like 3 or 4 giant blocks of cheese, all
Like
different kinds.
so big you need your own deli slicer to cut it?
No, like half a pound or a pound each.
Oh, so like the kind of block you would buy in the grocery
Yeah, like a
section.
grocery store block. But that's a lot of free cheese. When I get free cheese, it's always like a tiny free cheese.
Right, and Boar's Head is like middle of the road cheese.
So we were so skeptical that we engaged in like a minute's worth of conversation. Like, okay, this is free. You're just giving me this cheese? All right.
Where did this cheese come from?
Sure. And then later on, we finally get our food, and as we're leaving, I see them walk up to this lady, and they're like, free cheese? And they gave her way better cheese than they gave us. And she was like, no. And they're like, it's free. And she's like, and she was just as skeptical as we were.
Yeah. You gotta have a better way to give away your free cheese than just walk up to people with a Santa hat.
But I noticed behind them, they had giant boxes of cheese. And
You should also give people a reason you're giving them free cheese.
oh, the reason was Christmas in July. Merry
That's not a
Christmas.
good reason. Where do they get the money to buy all that cheese for no reason?
So in the background, I see one of the employees is standing there looking at another one, and they have one of these giant boxes of cheese open, and I see tons more boxes that are obviously cheese.
Where did the boxes come from?
And one of them is like,
them?
so you're just giving away all this cheese? And the other employee just laughs and is like, Christmas in July. So
Was it a mistaken delivery? Was it stolen cheese? Was it mafia cheese?
So on the
Is the
beach-
person who owns Russo's just so wealthy they bought that much
So
cheese?
on the beach,
Why cheese? You could have bought something better than cheese.
when I go for my run, there's one group of people that are set up on the beach, with their like beach towels and everything. But the beach towels all have snowmen on them, and they put up Christmas lights and shit. And then while we're laying on the beach, a parade drove by in cars on the beach of a bunch of bro-looking people playing Christmas songs and singing Christmas carols while wearing swimsuits and Santa hats. And apparently it was Christmas in July in Wildwood, and I can only assume that the cities of Wildwoods just gave all the businesses incentives to do Christmas in July or something. And we just came home and gave all the cheese to Skojo's parents. We're like, hey, we bought you some cheese for the house. Thanks for letting us stay here. And they were like, oh, thanks. And they were really excited.
Excited about some boring ass cheese.
Hey, it was free. You know his parents.
Yes, you went shopping to buy me a present and you bought 3 blocks of cheese?
I think if I gave them anything, they would be excited. If nothing else, they'd try to sell it at that garage sale.
I'm just saying, it'd be like, if someone came up to me and was like, got your present, 3 blocks of cheese, I'd be like, where did you get this free cheese from?
We were like, Russo's, and they were like, we got it from Russo's for you. And they were like, awesome, thanks. And then she immediately cut one of them up to like feed Kaylee and make a snack for herself and kept the other 2. Because like that was how that went down.
Okay.
Yeah, believe me, it's interesting watching New Yorkers interact with any human being who ever talks to them, especially offering something. Like, my shields are so strong at this point that a literal, like, magical godlike savior of humanity could come down, do magic in front of me, and offer me gold. And I would be like, I don't really want to talk to you, mister. Avoiding eye contact, like trying to get around them in the street.
Yeah.
So you got any news?
So I guess the news of the day is that Verizon bought Yahoo's core business. So what does that even fucking mean?
Once valued at $125 billion, Yahoo's web assets were sold to Verizon for $4.8 billion.
Right. So Yahoo, the U.S. company, consisted of a bunch of internet shit like Yahoo Sports, Yahoo Weather, Yahoo Websites, Yahoo Finance, Flickr, etc., etc. Right? It consisted of an investment in Alibaba. Like 15% of Alibaba.
Yep. Now you guys got to realize how incestuous all these companies actually are. Like, a lot of companies own big chunks.
It's like if you buy a percent of Yahoo, you're actually buying 1/15% of Alibaba.
Yep.
Anyway, so it also Yahoo US owns 35.5% of Yahoo Japan, which is actually a separate company that's actually successful.
Yep.
So basically, all the parts of Yahoo America, US, that weren't investments in other things, that were just web stuff, got sold to Verizon for like $5 billion.
Apparently, they tried to include the Alibaba stuff, and the only reason they couldn't, according to these articles, is that they were afraid they'd pay more taxes if they did so.
Anyway, so Yahoo is basically split into 2 parts. One is just a company that's nothing but investments, like a holding company. And the other part is the operating company, which actually does things like software and websites, which is the part that Verizon bought. And Verizon already bought AOL for a similar amount, a while ago. So, and you think just the web part of AOL and just the part of Yahoo that actually do internet stuff, right? Like Yahoo Mail, AOL Mail. Pretty equivalent in value, pretty close, right?
Yep. But if there was one company I trusted the least to do anything with those assets, it's Verizon.
Well, I mean, not the least, but it's way down there.
Yeah.
It's not a highly trusted operation. So yeah, that's probably bad if you use any Yahoo things, and I actually use a few Yahoo things.
Yep. The only one that I actually worry about is Flickr, because Flickr is like the core of my photograph sharing and archiving technology. Like, I use Flickr like as my 100% core workflow. I process stuff through Lightroom, but in the end, the actual photos, I put them all on Flickr because that's how I share them, and that's what I use it for.
I highly doubt they'll kill it, but it could be like Verizon Flickr, and it could,
it could just get bad.
It could be covered in ads and turn shitty. Who knows?
Yeah.
There's other options.
The only thing is, all the stuff that's happened over the years, Flickr has just remained mostly running. It has some problems. Like, occasionally, old photos just won't load for a while, and then they load again like a couple days later.
I've never seen that happen.
A lot of people complain about that. That's a really common problem that's been going on for a couple of years now.
You can always use SmugMug. It's not free, but hey,
Flickr's not free.
But it's way, there's a lot of choices.
Yeah, but Flickr is the best of them still so far.
Sure.
We'll see how this all goes down. This is a situation where I would be much more worried about the antitrust and neutrality aspects of this.
No, I'm not. Well, see, the thing is, yeah, I am worried.
I would be if Yahoo wasn't already like this sinking ship.
Well,
that's now tethered to another sinking
I'm obviously,
ship.
if I was in charge of antitrust, I wouldn't allow this, but they already allowed NBC Comcast, so it's like, well, this is way less bad than that. So really, they should not allow a company, period, any corporation in the United States or anywhere, to do more than one thing. Period. That's how it would be.
Well,
if
what's
I was
your
in
definition
charge.
of one thing?
Well, for example, if you're McDonald's, you make food and sell food, right?
What if I make video games and social media software?
No, you shouldn't be allowed to do that.
What's the difference?
What do you mean? What's the difference?
What's the difference between
You're
like
making two different kinds of things?
What defines what a kind of thing is? It's just software.
Me.
Okay, yeah.
That's two different businesses. You can't make clothing and food. It's
so
two different
who's going to make
things.
self-driving cars? Because that requires lots of software that is also used for very different things.
You're basically saying because this is a semantic issue of defining what's a different thing, you're going to let it stop you from the common sense definition of what's a different
I would go
thing.
much more simply and say that mergers of companies that are above a certain size are met with extreme skepticism, and the more disparate their assets are, the higher the bar is.
I could actually even go so far as to say we should not allow a company to exist with assets greater than X, period. And if a company becomes greater than X, even if it does only one thing,
Counterpoint.
we'll split it into two companies that both do the same thing.
Counterpoint. A lot of the things we use probably would never have been created if there weren't companies that had that much asset under control.
Maybe not.
Like a lot of the stuff Google did would probably just never have been done. Ever.
Maybe not.
Probably not. Not unless you had governments doing it, and that's not going to happen.
I'm okay. You never know.
Just saying, your overly simplistic views on this are in contrast with my much more nuanced views.
A more nuanced view isn't necessarily better.
You fall to the folly of the shortest path.
Shortest path is a quick path.
Yeah, quick path to the opposite of salvation, either literal damnation or suicide.
I don't know about that.
Well, we'll see. Welcome. We're reading the Prince of Nothing books again, so watch out.
They just made a new one. I took a short path right to the end of that book. I got there faster than Rim with my short path.
I took a shorter path because I didn't even read Oryx and Crake because I was reading this first. But instead of finishing the book at the beach, I just laid there at the beach. So I embraced the Zero God for a little while.
The Zero God?
So
you're damned as well.
This is a totally side news, but remember Zipcar?
They're still around, I guess. But they have a lot of competition now.
Yeah, so I've decided, I haven't used Zipcar in a while.
Are you still paying the fee?
Well, the fee is $70 a year. So it's basically nothing, but...
That's not nothing. That's a whole video game. A brand new...
But
that's two video games, pretty much.
I was paying for it because I used it occasionally.
Ones.
But I haven't used it at all this year, and I'm gonna cancel it tonight. I decided Zipcar is fucking dead.
Yeah.
And the reason is Zipcar is literally worthless. It is worse than every other option now. So the reasons I used to use Zipcar were, one, I don't want to talk to human beings and deal with them trying to sell me bullshit. I just want to rent a car.
Yep.
Two, I just want to know a set price of what the car takes and just go pick it up with technology. Three, I pretty much want to pick up a car near my house. I'll go to my house and pick up the car. That way I can rent it for the exact period of time I need. So I pick it up Friday after work, drive to the beach, I drop it off Sunday at 10 o'clock at night, and I only pay for that time. And that was great. And back then, it was cheaper than rental cars, or at least the same cost as a rental car.
And free gas.
Yeah, or it cost more than a rental car, but the free gas and all the other things evened it out, or the convenience was worth the slight difference in price. Over the last couple of years, the prices of Zipcar have gotten up to where, you know what it would have cost for me to rent the cheapest possible Zipcar for the weekend, last weekend to go to Wildwood?
Hundreds?
$478. So, now, outside of New York, I could rent a car for the weekend for $60, but it's New York, so the cheapest I could get was $200. The problem is, if I rent from a non-Zipcar place, you have to rent it from somewhere that won't let you drop it off on Sunday. No rental car place will let you get a rental that ends on Sunday. So you pretty much have to keep it till Monday and then drop it off. But getting the car Friday afternoon to Monday morning from White Plains was basically half the price of a Zipcar. So I took the train up to White Plains, picked up the car, picked up Emily because her office is up there, drove to Wildwood.
If Emily's opposite, why didn't Emily get the car?
Because I drive a lot more than her, and I don't think she really wanted to drive the car. I mean, most of our friends in New York, like Judith doesn't even know how to drive.
Why don't you just take the train to Jersey and get a car?
I thought about that, and it ended up being much more a pain in the ass for a bunch of traffic reasons.
If you just take the PATH train, then get a car.
Yeah, we did that once, and actually it ended up taking way longer than what we did now. Because I could skirt New York City to a surprising degree from coming from the... But anyway, in the Monday morning, I drove Emily to work, and then I just dropped the car off like at North White Plains, and then I just took the train to work, and it worked out fine. But I think what killed Zipcar is that, one, remember Zipcar got bought. I even forget which rental car company owns them. And once that happened, Zipcar just kind of sucked, and it got worse and worse and worse. Two, Zipcar wanted to be sold to people who live in cities who don't own a car, but occasionally need to use a car to like do something. 90% of those use cases are now covered by Uber.
Uber's not going to take you to the beach, though.
No, but Zipcar wanted to sell Zipcar to the kinds of people, like their business model was basically a shit version of what Uber does now. Like anyone who would use a Zipcar for the business model Zipcar had, now will just use Uber. Everyone who had Zipcar actually used it the way we used it, of we actually just want to rent cars like a normal car rental, and they can't make money with that. So I think Zipcar is just completely fucked and worthless.
The thing is, we need Uber long, right? I would never take a car to go somewhere short. I would only take a car to go somewhere in another town, but an Uber is not going to take me to like Pennsylvania.
It's like cars on demand. I want an Uber where someone drives a car to my apartment at a certain time, leaves it with me, and then comes to pick the car back up on another date at another time. That's what I want.
That's not bad.
Yeah, that would actually be great. So Uber killed Zipcar, and while Zipcar still exists, beware ye who use it. It is basically worthless at this point. And it's interesting how that like a use case that a huge number of pretty affluent people in a major city have is literally not served. Like there is no solution for people like us. It is literally go to a shitto place like Hertz and go through the normal garbage, terrible process, talking to human beings and dealing with the crap.
Or buy a car and pay to park it somewhere every month.
Yep. So if we used a rental car, if we used a Zipcar with the current prices 4 times a year, it's cheaper to own a car, even with paying for the $150 a month for parking.
And the insurance. And
yeah,
the gas,
and everything.
And the maintenance.
Yep. I did the math.
And it's a really nice car.
No, it'd be a crappy car, because who cares?
Like some used piece of crap.
Actually, if I did that, I'd probably get like a minivan, because then we can bring all our friends to places, and it actually would be really worthwhile.
Why not get like one
of those? It can't have more than like 12 seats, or then it doesn't count as a consumer vehicle.
Right, I'm saying like the church van where it's like 3 benches and can fit a ton of people.
Oh, I see what you're thinking. Why don't we just get a school bus? They get like 1 mile per gallon. I guess that's the problem of diesel.
You need a special license to drive that.
I could get that license, I think. Is a C license or whatever.
Good luck.
But if we get regular rental cars, we would have to use a rental car like 14 times a year, and then it's cheaper to own the car. I don't think we use them 14 times a year.
More like 4.
Yeah. Thus, Zipcar's dead. In other news, let's see. What other tech news did we have? So something interesting is happening with the EU. The European Union is going to basically pay to have its own engineers, like the government, the people who do like security auditing, are going to do an audit of Apache and KeePass specifically.
Okay.
The rationale is that those two open source or open projects are used very widely, both by government agencies and the private sector, and also just the public. And they decided that it would be a public good to use taxpayer money to have an independent body of professionals audit and check on the security of those things and generate a report and work with both of those projects to make them better from a security standpoint.
All right.
This is kind of amazing. It's actually going to be a really good thing.
They're open source things. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, but I don't know if this has ever happened before. I think the only times that I can find evidence of a government entity doing auditing of open source software is if they're auditing a specific use of that software within another company. No one's ever
SE Linux.
Oh yeah, but who audited that specifically, and where's the report?
It's the NSA's version of the Linux kernel.
Yeah, but I'm saying when's the last like independent audit of its security?
It's continuous. It doesn't end. They do it all the time.
Is there a report?
It's a
Can
living.
you link me to
I
it?
don't know
Like,
if they have a report, but it's like
yeah,
the NSA has a fork of Linux that they continuously maintain.
Yeah, and probably put holes in for us to get. Did you trust the NSA 100%?
SE Linux is like the real deal.
Well, SE Linux is the thing that
bullshit.
most most people who are system administrators, in my experience,
it's open source. It's not. There's no.
Most people I know. And like every company I've ever like looked at their servers, SE Linux is disabled because someone runs into a problem and doesn't know how to fix it. And the solution on like some garbage Stack Exchange answer is just turn SE Linux off. And
the real answer is the software that you're trying to run on that secure kernel is not secure. Edit that software to make it secure. Actually,
I found 90% of the time the real reason was your clock is off and SE Linux freaks out if timestamps are messed up.
That's also a problem.
That's like that 9 times out of 10 if SE Linux doesn't work, it's because you didn't set up NTP.
Anyway.
But this is cool, and it kind of lets, a lot of people in general, especially lately, because they're, people getting their Twitter hacked or whatever. They want
Whenever anyone says something was hacked, it
really means you had terrible passwords.
Someone guessed your stupid password, or you told it to someone,
or you used the same password on multiple sites,
or you clicked off yes on something stupid and gave permission to some app to use your shit.
Yep. Now there are password managers, and you probably shouldn't use them. Because I
don't use anything that stores my password even in an encrypted fashion.
Now, theoretically, a good way to do that would be to have local encryption only of your passwords that are not known to any human in the world.
Sure.
And the problem is you have to trust the organization that made that software that you run locally.
Right. As soon as you store your password, even if it's encrypted, you're basically, the whole point of a password...
It turns the password from something you know into something you have.
Pretty much. So you're basically now, even if you use two-factor auth, it's something you have and something else you have, and someone else can just steal and take the two halves.
But if you're going to do something like that, KeePass is probably the best one to use because it is not like LastPass or any of those things. It is just in a little encrypted database you can put things in, and you keep it and you manage it. Never sends your shit anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go into it. Like you can have a super complex password, and if you somehow forget it, or like you have a crazy password for having to use that often, KeePass is so reliable that a lot of security audit types use it in real organizations, and governments use it.
Just use fucking passphrases. They're easy to remember because just a bunch of words.
So you know what I use KeePass for? I don't put my passwords in it, but I put other information that I'd like to be confidential because TrueCrypt kind of died as a project, and it's a nice way to just have an encrypted container, and the only way to unlock mine is both to type in a passphrase and to plug my YubiKey into my computer.
Right, but I'm just saying, if you need for passwords, just use passphrases. You can remember, it's hard to remember like A, B, C, 1, 2, X, Y, something, capital, lowercase, weird symbol, right? It's hard to remember, but it's easy to remember like a whole sentence, right? Like, the lazy fox jumped over the dog or whatever. And it's like, that's a crazy fucking long password, and it's easy as hell to remember.
How many of you remember the correct horse battery?
Exactly. Something like that.
Yeah.
So you just use something like that for every different place you log into, and you'll be crazy secure. No one will ever guess your really ridiculously long password, but you'll remember it without even needing any kind of encryption or any kind of help whatsoever. And that's it. Passphrases are the king. Fuck everything else.
And last but not least, the Linux kernel 4.7 was released. That's actual tech news, according to Scout, and everyone wants to talk about all this non-tech news.
What? It's only news if they did something in that release of significance.
All right, let's see
what they did. A
number
was increased. What a great news.
Support for...
An arbitrary number went up.
Support for Radeon RX 480 GPUs.
You got one of those?
No.
Who cares?
It's AMD. Like
no
AMD
one wants those.
Why use NVIDIA, guys? Let's see. Load pin, which makes modules loaded by the kernel or the same files. Okay, whatever. Generating virtual USB device controllers and USB IP. All right. Sync file fencing mechanisms used in Android mobile operating systems. Berkeley packet filter programs can attach to trace points. Schedutil frequency governor to the CPU freak dynamic frequency scaling subsystem. None of this matters to 99% of humans.
You mean 99.9999% of humans.
What's funny is the GPU stuff is interesting because that only matters.
1% of humans is a lot of humans.
But the GPU and so like that only matters to people who are running Linux on the desktop and want a GPU to use this GPU stuff on the desktop.
There could be someone somewhere who's using AMD to do like some CUDA processing project or something because they didn't buy NVIDIA.
Maybe, but I don't know if this driver necessarily helps with that.
I don't know either. No one cares. The one person who has that video card and wants to run Linux on it is really excited.
Are any of you...
that person wrote the driver, actually.
You, the listener, I have a question for you. Does anything in the Linux 4.7 kernel in any way affect you at all? If it does, I really want to hear from you.
It might matter to some Android people, eventually.
Yeah, maybe.
In a way they won't realize.
It's just most good uses of Linux these days are servers, not so much desktops.
Well, I mean, Linux runs everything these days.
Oh, yeah.
It's not running, but it's not a desktop. It pretty much runs Linux.
Yep.
Unless it's an iOS device. And, not just servers. Like, literally every device that isn't a Windows desktop or an Apple device
or a legacy device, which is like old Windows.
Right, is running Linux. So, the changes to the kernel that affect all those devices, but they're invisible to all human beings. Except the ones working on the Linux kernel.
But anyway, things of the day.
All right, so I couldn't actually have any things of the day.
Nothing?
Yeah, there weren't really any good things of the day going on. So I'll just do a self-indulgent thing of the day, the kind of thing that usually you like on YouTube and then don't make a thing of the day because I'm like, that's just a thing that I like, not a thing of the day. But recently, like a week ago or so, was the Alternative Press Music Awards, a music award show even crappier than like the Grammys.
Yeah.
Somehow, if it was even possible. An award show where literally no one cares, and really you won one of these awards, no one gives a shit. But as award shows are like to do, especially musical ones, there are performances there. And at this award show, there was a performance of Baby Metal on stage with Rob Halford. If you don't know who that is, that's the Judas Priest guy who's breaking the law. And they broke all the laws. So watch this video and see all the laws be broken.
Nice.
What's really freaky is, like in Baby Metal, there's 3 girls. The one who can actually sing, and the 2 that pretty much just dance and make cute noises, right? So the 2 cute noises ones didn't really have a lot to do on this kind of stage. So they had them come out with these tiny guitars that were really even more cute. And the thing is, if you watch the video, it looks like they're maybe actually playing them, possibly.
Ooh, that's actually interesting.
I mean, they're probably turned way down on the mixer board so they don't fuck anything up. But it really looks like they're playing. Usually you can tell, like, they're just pretending to play, which is...
Well, see, the thing is...
everyone expected them to be pretending to play.
Well, here's the thing.
But in the video, like, it almost looks like they're playing, and they actually have little wires coming out going to wireless packs.
Good modern videos of things, like, especially just a real band where people actually do play their instruments normally.
But this was live streamed on, like, Amazon live stream.
Yeah, so when they're doing a live show that can't be fucked up, like, like some bands that do a live show, they do a real live show, but if you're doing the live show at, like, the Olympics or something, or the halftime, they're not going to risk, like, something bad happening.
Mm-hmm.
So usually they'll actually be playing the songs on the instruments. They're just not, that music isn't going anywhere.
All right, but even if they were doing that, the surprise is they know how to play.
I guess I kind of expected that from them because they seem very earnest.
I think it's Japanese people always practicing too hard and putting in the extra effort.
It depends. I've seen multiple J-pop idol concerts where the person was literally doing the opposite of even pretending to play. They're just like kind of banging their hand against the guitar.
Yes, I have seen that as well.
In fact, when what's her name got her hair stuck in the guitar.
That whatever her name was at the Otakon concert.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't remember who that was.
So actually, surprisingly semi-related. My video. So
whoever made those tiny guitars that are too cute for life. Yeah. Props to you.
So, if you didn't know this, it's actually impossible to tune a piano.
What?
Yeah. So this.
No, you can hire people to tune your fucking piano.
No, you can't. They can tune your piano, and I'm making quote motions, but they cannot tune it evenly. Some notes are going to be
flat or sharp.
There's a bunch
of individual strings.
Yes, that's why it can't be tuned.
Each string makes one specific note.
That is why the piano cannot be tuned.
There is a separate string for every key.
You say that,
You
yeah.
make every single string
that is
the
true.
correct string at the correct tension.
So what is the correct string and tension, Scott? Because the problem is
You have a little tuner,
So,
and
Scott,
you say this key is this middle C, and you press it, and the the
Scott,
hammer hits the string, and you say, well, was that at the frequency of middle C? And you know it was a little bit low frequency.
So, Scott,
I'll make it tighter.
So
it's a little bit high frequency. I'll make it looser. There we go. Exactly the right frequency when the hammer hit the string. That string is in tune. You do repeat for every string.
That's why this video is important. So, Scott, when you watch this video, and it's only 4 minutes long, you will find out that you are wrong.
The strings are not related to each other in any way.
It is literally
they
impossible.
They just happen to be next to each other.
With music and the way music notes work, it is impossible to evenly and perfectly tune a piano.
I think this is a bullshit hoax video.
You do.
I do.
Okay,
it
you are wrong.
Sounds incorrect and against all common sense.
So when you could Google around for an evenly
it should then be also impossible to tune a guitar. It's just a piano with a lot less strings.
No, guitars can be perfectly tuned.
Then why can't not a piano? It's the same thing.
You
only
should,
with more strings.
You should watch this video.
I have a feeling this video is gonna be full of bullshit.
So there are different ways to tune a piano, and basically, no matter what,
the method I just said is the correct method.
Every method will have some keys will be out of tune.
Sounds to me like your tuning
now the way
device is
around
broken.
that,
get a new tuning fork.
In the old days, if you want a piano that is perfectly evenly tuned, that piano is only set up to play in basically one key.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you know what, Scott? Watch the video.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've studied music theory. I was a musician. I'm not a musician anymore because I don't play my trumpet for shit. You watch this video, you cannot tune a piano. You were wrong.
It sounds wrong.
I'll bet you $100 this video is not wrong.
I'm not betting on anything because what do I know about music? Even less than you. But
I suspect many of you out there.
It's just common sense that you can make a string sound a particular frequency when it's hit with a hammer. And you can do that for one string. You can do it for as many strings as you need, even if you had 3 pianos.
So I suspect that the listenership, you, the listener, I guess, are have multiple
I'm just
personalities.
Saying, does that not make sense, though?
It does make sense
there
to a
you
layman.
Okay.
So that's the problem. All the listener out there who are musicians are laughing at you, and all the people who are not musicians are laughing at me. And it is very counterintuitive, but this is why when you get a piano tuned,
I can tune one string, I can tune 1,000 strings.
An expert piano tuner, if you care, will ask you how you want the piano tempered.
Mm-hmm.
What temperament do you want to give the piano?
I want every string to sound exactly the frequency that it is supposed to.
Well, watch this video, and we'll talk about it again on Wednesday. In the moment, we are going to be live at PAX West 2016. We're doing one panel. I forgot when it is, so I got to pull up.
It's on Saturday.
Our website.
I think.
Saturday afternoon or evening or something like that.
5-ish.
Rowcrew.com. Saturday, September 3rd, 5 p.m.
I remember.
Chicken Theater. The Grind.
So, at PAX East, when you want to go to a theater, you just think, oh, that's the Albatross Theater. It must be at the top because it's a flying animal.
Yep.
And it's A, so it must be in the corner because it goes A, B, C, D. If you are at PAX West and you hear the name of a theater such as the Chicken Theater, how do you know where it is?
Isn't the first letter the name of the hotel it's in?
The first letter is correct. The first letter of the theater.
Which means we're in the convention center.
That is correct.
As opposed to before when we were in the hotel. That's actually pretty good.
The panels that are in the Hyatt begin with H, and the ones that are in the Sheraton begin with S, and such and such. That is how it works.
That is why PAX is one of the best run conventions on Earth, because they put the thought into making that sort of system. It does not hurt people who are too dumb to understand it, or who are ignorant of it, regardless of their intelligence, but it helps people who have the gnosis.
Also, we're getting free badges to PAX yet again.
Meaning we have 2 badges.
I have 8 badges. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And I got to do something with those. We'll figure that out. I probably should get money in exchange for them because I could use some money.
Yeah. Well, we'll sell them at least at face value. We're not going to scalp them.
You could buy them from me if you want to do something with them that is free, you could buy them from me with Patreon money.
Oh yeah. Maybe I should buy them from you with Patreon money and give them away.
There's a markup.
No markup.
It's
no markup.
It's maybe like 50% markup.
Dude, we're
500% markup.
We are among the blessed few who don't have to worry about getting PAX badges. I'm not gonna scalp the badges we got.
I'm the one scalping them to you.
I guess you bought them. I failed. I tried to buy PAX badges because, I'm always worried too, and I didn't get in time.
That's not my fault. You're bad at internet.
So I only have a badge because we're a guest again.
Well, you would have had one of these ones if we.
The book club book is Oryx and Crake.
I finished it in like 6 hours. Rim didn't even read it yet.
The next Thursday episode that we do, the one that comes next, as in
the one that comes before,
we will do our review of Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood. Probably tomorrow I'm going to actually post, because our website still says the book club is the eye of the world.
Oh.
I'm going to officially update it.
I also finished The Great Ordeal.
I'm about to finish it.
So Rim always trying to make fun of me, like, he's so much better at reading.
You remembered more about Sorwheel's fucking friend and his dad and Zoim and all that than I did.
I'm just saying, I'm
got
better. I'm better at reading than Rim if I actually read.
You got a little bit ahead of me.
Rim just actually reads more.
Well, because I didn't read at the beach. I said I'd read at the beach. You read it at the beach. I went,
Yeah, I went, too.
But I didn't read.
On a bike. Whoosh.
Otherwise, as you might have noticed, GeekNights Presents Utena episode 15 is up. And I have a bonus. By the weekend, I'm going to put up a bonus episode 15A. Much like we did episode, I think, 2A, where we were like, what the hell is choo-choo? There's going to be a special variant version of episode 15 that talks about something different.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I'm going to talk about the scene transitions in Utena with a bunch of specific examples. And I'm going to take all the scenes from episode 15 and show all the sort of Kubrick-style nonsense that you see in Utena, where, like, in one scene, someone's holding something, and then in the next scene, there's something sitting in the spot where the person was holding it, and that's very much on purpose.
Whatever.
It's good stuff. Other than that, watch the Patreon. You can buy our t-shirt.
Don't.
But hold out, because hopefully soon I'll get a licensing deal, and you might be able to buy your very own officially licensed Chicken Surprise and Ice Cream Scream t-shirts.
I'll buy Ice Cream Scream.
Burger Brothers is pretty good too.
Yeah.
It's got two little guys with chef hats.
I got to represent my full web.
Actually, Ice Cream Scream is good because you know that bright blue threadless shirt with the Loch Ness Monster? So the Ice Cream Scream shirt is that exact same color. Because that's the color of Ice Cream Scream. Anyway, stay tuned on all that. It'll be fun. So this issue comes up a lot in tech circles. Like, normal tech people know about this a lot, but it's interesting to be aware of the fact that this is a much bigger problem. Like, tech people say they care about this, but the average tech person would not actually take advantage of the right to repair things that they fight for, even though ideologically know they're the right thing.
It's principle.
Yep.
The principle of the thing.
So I'm going to link to one because it's just the most recent one of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of articles you can find that will show you the people who are actually really hurt by this problem. And farmers are a really good example. So if you own a tractor, right? You might think a tractor is a simple, dumb thing, but actually...
It's a motor and some wheels and maybe another motor to spin something and,
Yep, but tractors have very complex gearing because of the kind of stuff they have to do. And oftentimes...
Yeah, it's a specifically powerful, high-torque engine, right? It doesn't move real fast, but it can pull a lot of shit that's heavy.
But they also usually integrate with very complex mechanisms that they tow. The tractor itself, you think of a tractor as like it's pulling something around. Yeah, it's pulling around a giant death robot thresher or something.
Right. Not only is it pulling it, it's also spinning things in that, It's like sort of like my stand mixer, right? At the front, it has that attachment where it's like, it's not just mixing. It's also got this thing on the front that's turning that you can attach an ice cream maker or a meat grinder to and shit, right?
Now also...
A tractor's like that times a million.
So unlike a consumer vehicle where there's lots and lots of customers and lots of companies making them, which is what most people talk about when they talk about right to repair, not that many companies make for real tractors. That's a specialized thing.
There's only a few companies in the world that make tractors, like John Deere and I guess maybe like Caterpillar. Do they make other kinds of equipment?
Think so. Cat makes similar, construction devices. Similar problems.
Like, specialized equipment like that is only made by a few companies, and because even if there are more companies, there's only a few that make good ones.
So, like, if say you wanted to buy a car and you learned that from mechanics that car was real expensive to maintain because mechanics couldn't fix it, you might decide to buy a car that didn't have that problem. With tractors,
let me buy this Volkswagen. Why is there a huge line at the service department behind the dealer? Let's not buy one of these.
Yep, let's buy this Hyundai, and I'll just mess with it myself.
Mm-hmm.
But if you buy a John Deere tractor, like this article is very detailed. If you buy the John Deere 8235R, you can't fucking fix anything on it if something goes wrong.
I mean, it's a motor, though. Shouldn't you just open it up, look at the motor, and if you know how a motor works, be able to fix it?
This article is about a farmer who's fighting for the right to repair his own tractor. So it has codes that'll pop up telling you, hey, there's a problem. Legally, you're not even allowed to look up what that code means because that would violate the DMCA. The codes themselves are covered by the DMCA and under copyright. You're not allowed to do things like the code might mean change a filter. Now, you're probably not even allowed to change the filter, even if you know what the code means, because if you do, you might void the service contract with John Deere.
What if you buy one without a service contract?
Then you probably can't repair it. The tractors are expensive. They have very complicated sensors, and there's a computer in there. Like, all cars have computers in them now. Tractors have way more complicated computers, and there aren't nearly as many people who are hacking those computers like there are with the car mod community. And even then...
Yeah, it's not like computer people are buying tractors.
And say you're a farmer and you buy a super expensive tractor upon which your livelihood depends, you're not going to start hacking it, because if you break it, not only might you get sued by John Deere, but they might just say, well, we're not selling you any more tractors, and then what?
Buy one from someone else?
There's only so many people who make tractors, and they all seem to have this problem.
And you already lost all your money buying that first one.
So John Deere, very publicly, is against the right to repair.
Yeah, they want you to pay them every time something breaks.
John Deere apparently officially said on record in an interview with Wired that giving farmers access to the software would, quote, make it possible for pirates, third-party developers, and less innovative competitors to free ride off the creativity, unique expression, and ingenuity of vehicle software. And they're using the DMCA, as far as I can tell. That's the primary tool they're using to F over the farmers. So this is an issue that I don't know how we're going to win anything, because as you pointed out, and I'd forgotten about, there was a right to repair bill in New York, and the tech companies, particularly Apple, made sure it didn't pass. So we have no right to repair our devices.
Right, because the same thing applies, right? It would make it anyone could just open up an old Apple repair business.
Yeah, which I feel like that should be the case.
They exist, but they would be even better if, there weren't these legal restrictions.
So I guess, is there any argument we can make against repealing this part of the DMCA and letting people repair their own devices?
You mean an argument like in John Deere's favor?
Yeah, like, is there any argument in Apple's favor or John Deere's favor?
Those companies make more money this way.
Or is there any non-evil argument?
No. If you buy something, this is the old saying, if you can't fix it, you don't own it, right? So it's people are using the DMCA to basically collect rents. That's all there is to it.
Yep. Now if you can't repair it, you don't own it is a little bit troublesome, though, in the sense that we're entering a world where there's so much technology that it's basically expected that 99% of all humans will not be able to repair 99% of the things that they own, even if there is zero legal restrictions.
I mean, even if you go back to the 80s, where when I bought a stereo, it came with a complete schematic.
Yeah, did you ever solder your stereo to fix it?
I never even opened it, right?
Yep.
It's like, and
when my stereo broke, I did not use the schematic to fix it. When we had a compressor for GeekNights, and one day it stopped working, I had the full schematic. I had the full documentation of how it worked and everything. And I did not try to repair it. I threw it away.
Right. So that's the step number one. If you can't repair it, you don't own it, is even if you're allowed to repair it and you have the information needed to repair it, you need to have the skills and knowledge to actually execute that repair, and the willingness to try to do the repair
with the risk of failure.
Right. So if you don't have those things, if you don't know how to work with an engine, you could get a car and like a full blueprint to the car, and if you don't know how to do anything, if you don't know how to use a wrench or understand how an engine works, you don't really own that car. You really, the mechanic who lives near you they own you. They own that car, really, and you have to pay them for the ability to use your car if it ever breaks.
But at least in that
case, they got
case,
you over a barrel.
You can go to any mechanic.
Yes, you can go to any mechanic.
There's a wider net, So more, there's
it is better, but you're still being owned, and you're not the owner.
Yeah, but that distinction seems increasingly
in principle.
Yeah, but in practicality, it's increasingly meaningless because the reality is you can't even expect people to have that capability. And also, there's a side argument. What if?
Do you even own yourself if you know how to doctor yourself? Right.
Yeah, I'm going to
own your own body.
I'm going to defer to other people. I'm not Dr. McNinja. I'm not going to I'm not going to undislocate my own jaw. Right. I'm not going to relocate my jaw.
Do you own your jaw, or does the doctor own it?
Doctor owns my jaw.
Yeah.
Doctor owns most things about my body. I mostly own my allergies, my nose stuff. I know about that. But what? So let's say we didn't have any of these laws, and you were free to fix anything. At what point is a company like Apple, like within their moral rights, to say, because you tried to fix this, but you're stupid, we're not going to we're going to void the warranty?
That's fine.
That's fine?
Yeah.
So what if Apple said, if you ever try to repair it, we're going to void your warranty?
That's fine.
So that means that even if there was no DMCA, you would still not actually have the practical meat space right to repair.
Well, no, because if something is currently under warranty, right? So Apple sells you an iPhone. A month later, it breaks. You could repair it yourself because with this, we're assuming we have the right to repair and we have the schematics. We know how to fix it. We got, Apple's providing service manuals and shit, right?
Yep.
Right? But if it's under warranty, there's no reason for you to do that because you're going to get a free fucking repair or replacement.
All right, wait. So is Apple obligated in this case to provide the service manuals?
I mean, if you have the right to repair...
No, do you have the positive right to repair or the negative right to repair? Do you have the right to repair?
If you don't have the service manual, you don't have even if you have the right to fix it.
But no, you
don't really have the ability. See, it's meaningless.
But there is a huge difference.
It's really no different.
There is a huge difference between saying you're not allowed to repair it and saying any company that makes something is forced to make a manual. A service manual.
It's different, but in terms of yes, that's going a bit further. But really, if you don't make the people give you the service manual, it doesn't matter if you give people the right to repair. They can't repair it because they don't have the service manual. So
no, but it does create a market for third-party people who will reverse engineer the service manual, which we've seen happen with consumer vehicles.
They can't get it exactly right, and you're always going to be left is that repair place got it 100% right? Because they only have a reverse engineered idea. They don't know exactly, right? And that original place who made the thing still has that absolute
knowledge. All right, but what's
knowledge.
the line? So say I make a video game. What's the service manual I'm now obligated to provide to my customers?
I mean, a video game isn't really something that gets repaired.
What? There's a bug. Team Tribe 2 doesn't work on my video card. Do they have to give me the source code, which is the service manual, if it has comments in it, and then I can repair it myself? What's the line? That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm shying far from a positive right to repair, because that opens a can of worms that I don't think humanity is capable of sorting yet.
I'm fine with that.
I guess if we're gonna go with positive rights, I'd rather go with some positive rights to free speech and food and such.
I think you get into a situation where it's okay, you made a video game, right? You're delivering it. There's a bug. Are you gonna patch that bug? You got some kind of warranty, right? Or are you gonna give the person a refund, or what are you gonna do? And if they don't patch it, that means they're not maintaining it anymore. If you could go to court and force them to give you the source code. Because you have the right to repair, and they're refusing to repair it and give you a patch.
That's interesting, because that would edge a little bit into the orphan work stuff with copyright, where if no one's using this thing, or no one can identify who owns it, maybe there should be a way for someone to reclaim it, the same way you can reclaim...
It's all the same issue.
Yeah, but we're just incapable societies dealing with that issue.
Whatever.
But I guess if we're gonna focus on practical realities, the practical reality of consumer vehicles is that even though it's technically illegal in a lot of places to reverse engineer this, people are doing it, and it's almost working itself out.
I mean, I just saw a YouTube video of those people who found the Super PlayStation in their attic or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And they brought it to Ben Hecht or whatever his name is, that guy. And he totally got the CD-ROM working again and shit just by figuring it out because he knows so much about electronics. And he had an SNES schematic, and the thing's mostly a Super Nintendo with a CD-ROM. And he was able to, replace some bad capacitors and, get stuff going. So it's you can get really far even without any manuals whatsoever.
So I guess, there's one final piece. What if you make like Apple, this is where I would defend them. If you make a device, like people used to complain about how you can't swap the batteries out of certain devices because they're built in, embedded. There are situations where making something less modular or less repairable could make its form factor better. Like look at most good laptops. I defy you to do significant repairs on them because they're so embedded and tightly coupled. The tight coupling is what made it a good thing.
I'm not saying you have to make your device physically easy to repair to sacrifice the quality of the device. I'm just saying you have to provide you should, in an ideal world, have to provide the full schematic of this device so that someone with the appropriate knowledge and tools could repair it without having to pay the original manufacturer after the warranty is done.
Thus, I propose, if nothing else, instead of like cell phones and cars and the things that the right to repair activists usually fight about, because those things are pretty abstract to the average person and the issues get pretty complex, we should probably focus on the specific harms to society that matter. Like farms and tractors, I feel like narrow legislation in specific industries like this with captive audiences, with rights to repair in those circumstances, would break the seal, and normal non-techies can understand, well, what do you mean the farmer can't fix his fucking tractor? What's that bullshit? Because that same person cares a lot less about your smartphone.
I think people understand that, they're upset when their phone breaks and they're upset when they go to the Apple store and Apple won't help them. And then they have to go to a place that charges a fortune. Whereas if this law had passed, you could have gone to a place and gotten charged way less than a fortune. When the Apple geniuses didn't want to help you.
I also do think that law should have passed because skimming what it actually did, it was babies first. Like it didn't do a lot.
No, it didn't go nearly far enough.
Yeah.
And it didn't pass either.
So it's just something to think about.
And it was New York only. It wasn't even like the whole country.
But when you're a techie who's got I have a lot of real angry opinions about copyright. The average person doesn't understand those things. You've got to pick specific, concrete, understandable examples and advocate for specific, focused, practical solutions to those. And when enough of those accrete, you can then make the general case. I think that works a lot better than vaguely agitating for complex things that people don't understand.
I only care about repairing shit. I don't care about the optimal way to make a law pass.
Yeah, but so you voted for Bernie, I guess. I voted for Hillary.
I didn't vote yet. It's not November.
Who'd you vote for in the primary?
I didn't.
You really didn't vote in the primary?
I'm not allowed to.
You're not a Democrat?
Nope.
Oh.
I'm a nothing. And you can't change because even if you change,
I changed way back because I was real pissed that I couldn't vote for Zipcar Teach Out because primaries in New York are literally the only thing that matters in New York. So I changed back then to be able to start voting now. That's a separate issue. I think it's time to get some food. I'm real hungry.
I'm hungry.
Hungry for croutons. This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geek Nights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geek Nights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night. I think you have a problem. I see that bag of croutons.
What do you want?
You're getting worse.
Croutons, as I've said many times, are just a highly evolved form of cracker.
You're getting worse.
They are the cracker.
You're getting worse.
They're the cracker that is taking the shortest
path. You have
a
problem. It's getting worse.
I eat croutons because croutons are crackers that have embraced the absolute. The patrons for this episode of Geek Nights in the amount of money that they give us on a continuing basis order are Alan Joyce, Rebecca Dunn, Nicholas Brandau, Heidi McNichol, Amanda Duchette, James David White, Christian Kuntz, Construction Noises, MyState.com, Sean Hayworth, William Eisenrose, Jeremy Miner, Chris Reimer, and Thomas Hahn. Michelle Garcia, Brian Fisher, Sailor Vista, Devin Goodman, Iggy Kidd, Matthew Smith, Kajar Tavish, and Joshua Joestar, Tyler Eller, Don Schleich, Sean Yeager, Clinton Walton, Ren from New Zealand, Ryan Perrin, Drew Openlander, Rare Lavelle, Brian Citroni, Rochelle Montanona, Finn Eric Silverrod, Bonsai Buddy, Chris Midkiff, Chris Knox. I paid $5 and all I got was this lousy shout out. Sam Cordery, Daniel Redmond, Sean Klein, Chris Reimer, and Thomas Hahn. Scott's still coughing. He's almost at the end of the illness, so I can't really... We got to do the Q&As and catch up on all that stuff as soon as he is not coughing, so I can spring it on him at the end of an episode. Otherwise, you're going to see, like I said, some more videos. I'm going to try to get a ton of video work done this weekend. Hopefully I can get the Atari game design panel up, too. We've recorded it at a bunch of conventions. I think I have one good run of it. And stay tuned. MagFest put out the call, so we're working on our MagFest lineup as well. And now I leave you with something on.
Like 15% of Alibaba.
Yep. Now you guys got to realize how incestuous all these companies actually are. Like a lot of companies own big chunks.
Like when if you buy a percent of Yahoo, you're actually buying 1/15% of Alibaba. Yep. Anyway, so it also Yahoo US owns 35.5% of Yahoo Japan, which is actually a separate company that's actually successful.
Yep.
So basically, all the parts of Yahoo America, US, that weren't investments in other things, that were just web stuff, got sold to Verizon for like $5 billion.
Apparently, they tried to include the Alibaba stuff, and the only reason they couldn't, according to these articles, is that they were afraid they'd pay more taxes if they did so.
Anyway, so Yahoo is basically split into two parts. One is just a company that's nothing but investments, like a holding company. And the other part is the operating company, which actually does things like software and websites, which is the part that Verizon bought. And Verizon already bought AOL for a similar amount, a while ago. So, and you think just the web part of AOL and just the part of Yahoo that actually do internet stuff, right? Like Yahoo Mail, AOL Mail. Pretty equivalent in value, pretty close, right?
Yep. But if there was one company I trusted the least to do anything with those assets, it's Verizon.
Well, I mean, not the least, but it's way down there. Yeah. It's not a highly trusted operation. So yeah, that's probably bad if you use any Yahoo things, and I actually use a few Yahoo things.
Yep. The only one that I actually worry about is Flickr, because Flickr is like the core of my photograph sharing and archiving technology. Like I use Flickr like as my 100% core workflow. I process stuff through Lightroom, but that the cities of Wildwoods just gave all the businesses incentives to do Christmas in July or something, and we just came home and gave all the cheese to Skojo's parents. We're like, hey, we bought you some cheese for the house. Thanks for letting us stay here. And they were like, oh, thanks. And they were really excited.
Excited about some boring-ass cheese.
Hey, it was free. You know his parents.
Yes, you went shopping to buy me a present, and you bought 3 blocks of cheese?
I think if I gave them anything, they would be excited. If nothing else, they'd try to sell it at that garage sale.
I'm just saying. It'd be like, if someone came up to me and was like, got your present, 3 blocks of cheese, I'd be like, where did you get this free cheese from?
We were like, Russo's. And they were like, we got it from Russo's for you. And they were like, awesome, thanks. And then she immediately cut one of them up to like feed Kaylee and make a snack for herself and kept the other 2. Because like that was how that went down.
Okay.
Yeah, believe me, it's interesting watching New Yorkers interact with any human being who ever talks to them, especially offering something. Like, my shields are so strong at this point that a literal, like, magical, godlike savior of humanity could come down, do magic in front of me, and offer me gold, and I would be like, I don't really want to talk to you, mister. Avoiding eye contact, like, trying to get around them in the street.
Yeah.
So you got any news?
So, I guess the news of the day is that Verizon bought Yahoo's core business. So what does that even fucking mean?
Once valued at $125 billion, Yahoo's web assets were sold to Verizon for $4.8 billion.
Right. So Yahoo, the U.S. company, consisted of a bunch of internet shit like Yahoo Sports, Yahoo Weather, Yahoo Websites, Yahoo Finance, Flickr, et cetera, right? It consisted of an investment in Alibaba.
It's Monday, July 25th, 2016. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight, the right to repair and the DMCA and all that nonsense in 2016 is still a problem.
Let's do this.
It was raining so hard that when I got off the I was on the subway and the 7 train after ridiculous delays and people crammed in everywhere. I basically only got on the car because I sort of shoved people out of the way and elbowed my way on there and wedged myself in a corner. But then when the train came out of the tunnel into the daylight, into the wall of rain, the rain hit the subway car so hard that people in the car kind of went ah, and everyone sort of reacted in a surprising and shocked fashion, which I've never seen people do on the subway before.
Subway's nice and clean.
Yeah,
Whoosh.
Nice and air conditioned
Free
too.
car wash. Whoosh.
Yeah, I'm actually impressed at how well all the air conditioning in that system is working, considering.
We're riding relatively new train cars.
Even though you saw they're going to get all new train cars soon with the bumbleweeds.
I thought they were just modifying existing cars to put little thingies in between.
It's hard to say, because the story, it looks like I think they're going to take the oldest rolling stock and replace it with the ones that'll have the sort of articulated open framework and less seats.
Well, yeah, I mean, you always assume the newest cars replace the oldest cars, right?
Yeah, except apparently I guess the C train will never get anything replaced.
Why not?
The C train has the oldest, worst rolling stock in the entire system.
Then isn't that first in line to get replaced?
I don't know. The C train's weird too. They're shorter than the other trains.
Okay.
You know, you don't know about the C. Have you ever ridden the C on purpose?
I've ridden the other blue. I don't
Yeah,
know if
you've
I've
ridden
ridden
the
this.
A.
I don't know if I've ridden blue trains, but I've never ridden a blue train where it mattered which one I took, unless it was the E.
Yeah, the E is the useful one. The A is the one, unless you're going to Brooklyn.
Like, if I'm taking a blue train, it's either I need the E or I need any blue train.
Yep. I don't think
and I don't know which one I'm on.
I'll bet you haven't ridden an E train, because the E train kind of sucks.
I've ridden a lot of E trains to go to the
airport.
sorry,
the C. The C you've probably never ridden.
I mean, I've just, if I have, I didn't,
The C is notably shitty.
Okay.
But anyway, so I was on the beach this weekend, and something strange happened. I was at Russo's, that place, like we always do. Standing there with Emily. We're waiting for our Russo's sandwiches to get finished by the ladies behind the counter. And suddenly, what looks like an employee of Russo's, wearing a Santa hat, walks up to us.
Why are you wearing a Santa hat in July?
Walks up to us, holding a bunch of things that they call sand scrapers that are like this as seen on TV thing to get sand off your feet, and 3
That's stupid.
big blocks of Boar's Head cheese, like wrapped up packaged Boar's Head cheese. And they're like, "Merry Christmas," and they hand it to us.
They handed you free cheese?
Like 3 huge blocks of cheese and these sand
Is the cheese
scrapers.
expired?
It expires next year. Like, it's fine.
Why didn't they give it? Did they give this to everybody?
So we're looking at her, and Emily's like, "Oh, no thanks." Because like you do. When someone
It's
walks
New
up to
York.
you, and gives you cheese, that is either a scam or they stole that cheese.
That's right. We don't want that. What is going on? Yeah.
And they're like, "It's Christmas in July. It's free. You can take it." And then I noticed that there's other Russo's people walking around giving everyone in the store like 3 or 4 giant blocks of cheese, all different
Like
kinds.
so big you need your own deli slicer to cut it?
No, like half a pound or a pound each.
Oh, so like the kind of block you would buy in the grocery
Yeah, like a
section.
grocery store block. But that's a lot of free cheese. When I get free cheese, it's always like a tiny free cheese.
Right, and Boar's Head is like middle of the road cheese.
So we were so skeptical that we engaged in like a minute's worth of conversation. Like, okay, this is free. You're just giving me this cheese? All right.
Where did this cheese come from?
Sure. And then later on, we finally get our food, and as we're leaving, I see them walk up to this lady, and they're like, "Free cheese?" And they gave her way better cheese than they gave us. And she was like, no. And they're like, "It's free." And she's like, and she was just as skeptical as we were.
Yeah. You gotta have a better way to give away your free cheese than just walk up to people with a Santa hat.
But I noticed behind them, they had giant boxes of cheese. And
you should also give people a reason you're giving them free cheese.
Oh, the reason was Christmas in July. Merry
That's not a
Christmas.
good reason. Where did they get the money to buy all that cheese for no reason?
So in the background, I see one of the employees is standing there looking at another one, and they have one of these giant boxes of cheese open, and I see tons more boxes that are obviously cheese.
Where did the boxes come from?
One of them is like,
them?
"So you're just giving away all this cheese?" And the other employee just laughs and is like, "Christmas in July." So
Was it a mistaken delivery? Was it stolen cheese? Was it mafia cheese?
So on the
Is the
beach-
person who owns Russo's just so wealthy they bought that much
So
cheese?
on the beach,
Why cheese? You could have bought something better than cheese.
when I go for my run, there's one group of people that are set up on the beach, with their like beach towels and everything. But the beach towels all have snowmen on them, and they put up Christmas lights and shit. And then while we're laying on the beach, a parade drove by in cars on the beach of a bunch of bro-looking people playing Christmas songs and singing Christmas carols while wearing swimsuits and Santa hats. And apparently it was
SantaCon?
it was Christmas in July in Wildwood, and I can only assume